welcome nerds to this week's art video. Today I'm going to be designing something called an Artsona. This was a challenge given to me by my little brother. In his words, he said, draw yourself as an art persona, like a character or design that captures your base feelings, creations, personality, etc. into a single person or thing. Without further ado, we're going to jump right into that. I always start a design by jotting down anything that comes to mind and building off of it. In this case, I'm not starting from scratch. I don't think any design starts from scratch. Design is taking information that you already know and elements you already know and applying them, shaping them until you have come up with something cohesive that works all together. So to begin with, I am writing down a few notes. I've drawn a little headshot of myself. I've also drawn myself before, so I'm not starting from scratch there either. Thinking up some ideas, seeing if I want to have purple hair, multicolored eyes, things that show off my creativity while still looking like me. One of my favorite things to do when it comes to designing clothing is make just a little version of myself or whatever character that I am creating and build on top of that. It's a lot faster and I can get out my ideas that way. I started with this shirt that is half white, half black. There is a heart in the middle, and that was to signify the history that I have with art. I have a sad past when it comes to artwork. When I was a teenager, I had someone very close to me who discouraged me from artwork. They said that I was wasting my time on things that I shouldn't be doing, wasting my talent on an art style that they didn't respect. And it got to a point where I actually destroyed some of my artwork. Not some of my artwork, I destroyed all of the artwork that I had created up until that point, past things that I had done when I was like 5. I actually burned an entire box worth of pictures. Thankfully, I've gotten past that. I have so many drawings now. It's one of the reasons I keep everything that I ever draw, is because I don't like to think about losing any of it. That's definitely tied to having already lost some of my artwork. But I have gotten over that. I have forgiven that person, forgiven myself, and moved on. And I really wanted to show that in this Artsona. I wanted to show the light and the dark of that history, because it is a part of me now, and I am proud of how far I've come since that time. I played around with the idea of having one side of my face be dark with a pointed ear, and it just was not working so well for me. I really wanted it to be a little more symbolic and less creepy, so I ended up going with a mask instead, and you'll see me jotting that out later here on the page. Now, the reason I'm taking notes here is because I am trying to think of elements as well as colors in my head, and I don't want to forget what I'm thinking, so I just go ahead and jot down some shorthand. This is when I decide that the dark side of the face is a little too literal and I wanted to make it a little more symbolic, and so I try out a couple of different mask ideas that, yes, there is this sort of darker part of my aesthetic and my artwork, but underneath that, it's all me. Here I try a couple of different horn shapes just to try out a couple of different things, see what looks best to me. When I am designing a character, it's never about being perfect on the first try. It's about getting out as many ideas as I can, as quickly as I can, so that I can start forming something solid. This pause here is me thinking if there's anything else I can add to these sketches I have currently to fill it out more. Eventually I decide that I need a fresh page so that I can take what I have and keep building on it. Here I'm drawing a larger puppet so that I can put everything on top of it to see how it's working. Trying to get a feel for the body shape I'm going for and to see how the full outfit is coming together and how I like it, if it needs any changes. I decide here to add a little bit of flavor to the design by adding these additions to the pants, these belts that have art supplies and a sketchbook on the hip. I thought that that was fun. I wanted it to be a little more creative in that aspect, so I gave that a try. I did end up going with something slightly different, but I did like where that was headed. I fidget my hands a lot when I'm thinking. I always notice that when I'm doing a voiceover. Here I was trying a different horn shape again, and I decided to take the scary eye off of the mask. I thought it was making it a little too evil, and I wanted this to be more symbolic than evil. I also tried to bring some of my younger self into the design with some longer hair that I used to have. I thought that was a little too far from what I am currently, though, so I decided not to go with that. Here I am giving myself pointed ears because I love pointed ears, and I did want to, since there are the elements of the mask and things, I wanted to take it a little further away from human. It is an art persona after all. I can make this more fun than just me with some fancy clothes on, so I decided to take it a little impish, a little mischievous, if you will, and I liked that. To give myself some cargo pants to go with the little sketchbook satchel, and I really liked how that looked. I liked the shapes that I added to the silhouette, so that's what I end up going with in the final illustration. Just pockets stuffed with art supplies and a sketchbook hanging off of my hip. That would be perfect. I would wear that every day. If that was a thing, I would do that. I wanted to add a little more of a flowy element to this. At first I thought of those little tails that come off of a coat, but it didn't seem to fit, so instead I changed them into the strings coming out of the hoodie. So now that we have that full idea in mind, we can get down to sketching for an illustration. my cat in the background, I apologize. He is so needy right now. Needy? Yeah? Do you need some love? What are you whining at me for? Whatever. Whatever. What? He never whines this much. Never mind, he whines like this all the time. 24/7. You big baby. You big baby. Frustrated with those tassels. I am sketching in pen, so it is my own fault, but they weren't going the way I wanted them to. I may have to see if I can find some whiteout or something that I can use to fix it up a little bit, but that's what happens when you sketch in pen, so that's my own bad. Personally, I can't get enough of cheap office pens. They do really well with the painting technique that I'm working with in this sketchbook, so I just ended up using them for basically the whole sketchbook, and I'm totally fine with it. He is so noisy today. He's usually a good boy who leaves mom alone when she's recording. Yeah! Haven't seen this trick before, I am using it again. I put water-based markers, I just draw onto a glass plate, and then I add water and I paint with a brush, and it's pretty fun. I really enjoy it. It's a little less finicky than watercolor. It's more permanent, it's harder to take off of the paper, so there is a level of risk. But personally, I prefer it to watercolor since I tend to overwork watercolor, and with these so far, I just take what I can get, I put it down, and then I move on, so it works. Like right here, it's going down super saturated, and I was going to be mad at it, but I was like, you know what, I'll just work with what I have. It's an Artsona video. It can be as colorful as it wants. I'll just roll with it. a struggle for me when I'm recording. Usually I will turn the paper. In this case, I turn my whole body to get the angles of the brush that I want so that I don't mess up the video. With this technique, I like to go back in with the same shading color to pull all of the colors together. A bit like using a screen layer on a digital painting. Here I'm adding little paint splotches to the pants because who doesn't get super messy when they're drawing? I know I do. I get so messy. I think my favorite medium to use in high school was charcoal, and I am just used to having dirty hands now. They're always a mess. I always know I worked really hard when I have messy hands, though. It's a point of pride. Now, this was my favorite part, and I'm so sad because the camera didn't pick it up. I actually took some sparkly gel pens and I draw it onto a paper and I add just a little bit of water. You can also do this by just drawing directly on the page and adding a little bit of water, and it spreads the sparkles around, and it's so cute. And you can see it in person, but you can't see it on the camera because it won't give me the glitter. God damn you! Give me the glitter! I spent so long on it! those wonky strands. It's okay. I'll just have to find some white acrylic paint or something. I'm sure that would fix it up just fine. Look, you can see it. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. You can see the glitter. There's so much. I wanted to separate the color of the face from the color of the body and just give it a little bit more tone. So I add some blue shading on some of the skin. I then use some yellow as a background color to bring some of those warm tones near to the face and just to frame the picture a little bit. And it's easier than drawing a background, and I'm lazy. I'm using a micron pen here to just darken up some lines and give it a little bit of weight. There it is, all finished. As always, thank you so much for watching until the end. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you liked me, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you nerds in the next video. Bye!